Sure.
Okay. We're back here at the Dugout to talk about something that made some noise yesterday on social media. There's been a bit of a ripple effect as well since that it wasn't just about a story. There were more stories that followed, just that those weren't on social media. Those were stories that happened outside the field of play, and yeah, we're here to talk about one such incident and one involving a certain Virat Kohli.
I mean, okay. Everyone's
Are we just looking at her because she's a...
I
No,
think
she
so.
just did
But
a video.
She did 2 videos on it. So
I see.
if anyone knows about this entire topic,
Exactly, that's why I looked it up. Why else did you think?
Yeah. So
Virat Kohli fan.
there have been new guidelines set into place according to all the reports that are going around on social media by media as well. But I'm not sure how, qualified, not qualified, but is this really something that is in the rights of BCCI to kind of withhold this information or something? Because it's just a yo-yo test score, right? How does that make a difference in anyone's performance or in BCCI's confidentiality? I don't understand that.
But it's mentioned in the BCCI contract that you cannot tell what your score is. We can debate whether it should be in the contract or not.
Yeah.
But it is in the contract. It's supposed to be confidential.
They've been told, given a stern
Well,
verbal
so we'll talk about whether it should be there in the contract or not.
Yeah.
Secondary. But if it is in the contract, and if I'm a contracted player, let's say you are contracted to your employers here, and let's say they come up with a clause in your contract that all the beautiful clothes that they give you to wear while you are doing your programs here, the contract says that you can only wear it while you are in office and you cannot be carrying it with you once you leave.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know those clothes are yours, they're made for you. Whether they are right or wrong is a separate issue. But if, let's say, that's in your contract, and if you end up doing what's mentioned in your contrary to what's mentioned in your contract, then should you be pulled up or not?
But also another question that can be raised here is, was this the official fitness test, taken to
This was the
pass?
official fitness test, yes.
Or was it just one of those fitness
No,
tests
no,
that
no,
you
no.
do
This was
in the camp?
Yeah.
This is an official fitness test,
So
which
this,
you are doing in
needed
the...
to pass this to be in the Asia Cup squad.
Yes. And even if it is not a test to pass it to be in the squad, but it will still be a test where periodically you will have to go through.
Exactly.
Whether the repercussions of that results in you getting out of the squad or not is a secondary matter, but they can have periodical tests
And
for
yeah,
each player.
It's periodic only. Like, it was made very clear that your yo-yo test, your DEXA on that 1st of January press release that came from the BCCI, it was made very clear that the yo-yo test is being reintroduced, and it will be taken into consideration as far as selection of players is concerned. Very clearly it was being put out there. We don't know if this is what, if the players were put to test yesterday, if this was again
The test.
for the big tournaments, let's say, coming up.
But why else will they have a test?
Exactly. And
No, but they do, when you're playing.
Yeah, but
together,
if
when
it's
you're in a team,
if it's an official test,
Yeah.
if it is an official test, then it's an official test. Whether it is for the Asia Cup or not doesn't matter,
Doesn't
right?
matter,
The contract will say that all official tests conducted are going to be confidential, and that you cannot. So right now I'm just talking about it being in the contract. We'll get to whether it should be in the contract or not later. But if it's in your contract, in that case, is the BCCI right in pulling Virat Kohli out?
yes, if it's there, I mean, we
Breach
can
of-
debate whether or not it should be there, but if it's there, it's there. And I'm sure you would have known about
rules
it.
are rules.
So does it then surprise you that he put it? What are you telling me, that he wouldn't know it's there?
I mean, it could be,
maybe he did. Maybe it was just one of those things he casually sort of put it out there, because in the past as well we've gotten to know that a Manish Pandey has exceeded in the yo-yo test. We know that Raina, Yuvraj, their scores were also put out. knowingly, unknowingly, whatever it may be, they may not have put it out, but those reports did the rounds. I remember this one time, Manish Pandey, I think, has the record, I think, for doing
19.2.
one of the best, this
Yeah,
thing. Jadeja, we know, has one of the better scores.
No, this much we can confirm that it is part of their contract, that this is confidential.
Okay, but we also have to look at where these results, where these test scores came from. If it's a source or something and it's just hearsay.
I think in my memory, I think this is the first time a player himself has put out the
Revealed it.
score. Exactly.
A
Ashish
contracted
Nehra.
player. A contracted player.
Yeah.
A lot
Ashish
of them.
Nehra, after they retire, they have
Exactly,
revealed.
exactly.
Like Ashish Nehra told in an interview once that he had done 18.5. But that was
he
way
is
after
retired.
he had retired.
Then it doesn't matter.
So if you're retired, you're not part of the contract.
Yeah.
You say whatever you want. My point is, if it is part of your contract, and by good authority we can tell you that it is part of the player's contract that he cannot be telling this, then what does Virat Kohli letting it out signify to you? Is it is one that he was not aware of it? Can you buy that? I mean,
Not for 1 second. Not for 1 second.
so you're saying he was aware of it, and then the only reason that he's doing is to defy the BCCI, right?
He just forgot, maybe.
Slip of mind.
Slip of mind.
Or maybe is he trying to send across a message?
No.
What message?
A message
I'm
that.
very fit. We know that
See,
already.
his fitness standard, again, what I think the bigger question here is why have such a clause in place? If
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Right now, I want to know what prompted Virat to put it out, considering it's not part of their contract.
Either he wasn't aware or he forgot. That's all I have.
You can't forget something like that.
You can.
I've heard of people
forget.
forgetting far.
You can't forget. I mean, there could be only two reasons. Forgetting, I don't think, is a reason. One, he knew about it and he said, I couldn't care less. It's my personal test score, I'm going to put it out there. It's my social media handle, I'm going to put it out there. I'm happy about it, I'm going to put it out there. That's one reason. The other reason, the more plausible one, is I feel, rather than forgetting, is that unlike what Shane thinks that he should know it, it is possible he doesn't know about it.
Yeah. I
Because I'll tell you what, these contracts are pretty long.
Exactly.
You and I sign a lot of contracts in our life.
We don't read them all.
Whether it's a professional contract, whether it's a rent agreement, or whether you're buying a property, whatever you're doing, there's so many contracts that we
Exactly.
sign on a monthly basis or a yearly basis that a lot of those clauses we're not aware of. I'm guessing the majority of the clauses you would know about, the major ones you'd know about. But there could be a lot of clauses that you're not aware of, and I think in this case, and I'm only just guessing sitting from the outside, as I said, there could only be two reasons. One, he doesn't know about the clause, and two, he knew about the clause, and he said, to hell with it, or thought it's a minor thing. How does it matter? Who's ever going to notice it? And he puts it out, or he wants to, defy the BCCI. I think the second reason, I find it a bit hard to believe. I doubt
That
there'd
he-
be any sort of intention just to defy
defy
them
the beast.
and just
Yeah, no,
put it
But
out that I couldn't care less.
I find it equally hard to believe that he forgot about it or
Forgot I said is not possible. I only gave two options.
Wasn't aware.
He does not know that
Even
clause.
that I don't think is quite an argument for the sole reason.
You are
that-
trying to say he would know every clause in that.
No, I'm not saying about every clause,
He
but
just did, I agree to all terms and conditions. Simple. With the
but
contract.
having watched Indian
Won't you do
cricket-
that?
No,
You don't read any clause in the last.
Yeah.
When you go online, it says I agree to all terms and conditions. Take
But
that
I'll tell you what
and
the
done.
difference is. I'll tell you what the difference is. We've seen it and we know it as a matter of fact as cricket observers in this country.
Yeah.
We know that the yo-yo test is one such test. There has always been brouhaha about players making the cut, not passing it and all. There's always been a lot of. So I beg to disagree that in the Indian camp, within the players, the community, let's say, they are not quite aware of that one clause that they possibly
Okay, valid one. Harshit says because yo-yo is not a minor thing, and as I said in that contract, you would know the major things. He feels yo-yo is a major thing
It is.
because it's spoken of. So he would very well have known. That's a valid point of view. But I'll tell you what, yo-yo may be a major thing, but the fact that the thin line, the fine line, or the fine print says that you cannot make it public is something that he may not know.
Yeah, exactly.
See, there have been.
What the yo-yo score is, what is the qualification, what is not qualification, that every player would know very well.
Yes.
And when you have to do it periodically all those details.
You get to
But the
know.
fact that you can't make it public, that I think would be a thing that he.
And also, yo-yo test is such a routine test at this point in cricket that you just can't, you can forget or you can't,
Yeah, but
happen
again,
to know everything, yeah.
all those years when Greg Chappell was there, and there was so much being said about certain players passing the yo-yo test, certain players not passing the yo-yo test, and how when that thing came in, okay, do you want fit players or do you want skillful
Was the yo-yo
players?
there when Greg Chappell was? I doubt it.
No.
No.
2007, I think.
Yo-yo test is a
Yo-yo is
thing
a
in the
Kohli
last. Exactly.
No,
For
no,
Indian
before
cricket.
that-
For Indian cricket. Before that, Australia had it, New Zealand had it.
I doubt. I can't think of. This is a very new age thing that they've introduced.
I think after 2012, we had
Yeah,
the
somewhere there.
introduction of
And I think
tests.
Virat was an advocate of having yo-yo.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I agree with you
Okay.
that that yo-yo is such a test that
Indian
Virat would know a lot of. That Virat is instrumental in ensuring that
Yes.
that yo-yo is going to be part of that Indian setup.
2017.
That's why
Kohli.
I told you.
Yeah.
Kohli wasn't definitely not there around that time, 2017, and because he was a big believer. By the way, I had actually, it's interesting that you talk about yo-yo test, and which is why I'm a bit surprised that the BCCI would take that line, is because for a long time, and when Virat was there, yo-yo had become mandatory in terms of that yo-yo tests have to be there for selection. I think that's not the case anymore,
It is.
which is why just answering your question as to whether this would have decided the selection, not quite, because I don't think now it is a make or break sort of a situation,
Yeah.
that if you don't pass. Earlier it was written in stone,
Yeah,
that if you do
don't
not
pass,
achieve that
yeah.
score,
Yeah.
you will not be picked. Now I don't think it's written in stone. They expect the player to do it. However, they've got a few other tests which they're looking at under 19 levels and then at senior level, which is that 2-kilometer run that you have that
Endurance
much
test.
time.
Yeah.
That you have that much time and that you have to clear. So those are the tests. I mean, in general, I've been of the firm belief that for cricketers, even though they're athletes, you cannot have these tests. I mean, you can have these tests to test their fitness, but you cannot not select a player if he's not
It
passed
cannot
it.
be the deciding factor or the
Yeah.
the metric for
Yeah,
someone's
I mean,
fitness.
a David Boone or a Arjuna Ranatunga or even an Aravinda De Silva
Or
or a
a
Sandeep Patil or a Dilip Vengsarkar, all of these one the fittest athletes, in terms of
But
doing
they
these
have
kind of
skills.
things. But great batters, all of them that I mentioned. What you need and what you need from a batter is to ensure that he gets 100 runs and is fit enough to bat to get that 100 or 150 or whatever in a test match or in a one-day game. And if all of these batters that I mentioned did it so regularly in international cricket, then that's the measure of their fitness, and I think that is what they should do, not so much.
I mean, yeah, when I used to play cricket and I used to talk to a lot of accomplished physiotherapists and nutritionists and whoever work with the trainers and all of that, they used to say, being trainers themselves of domestic teams, knowing that it is a criteria for selection, they used to say that this is a very flawed criteria because every body is different and every yo-yo test is basically lung capacity test. They test how much oxygen you can hold, all of that, but it is such a subjective thing because everyone's lung size is also different, so it just doesn't matter.
Also,
Instead, they want personalized tests for each player. Like you can do a standard test and then you can understand what this player needs or what this player needs or doesn't need, and then do a test based on that, and then that can be the criteria of the for selection.
Also, with the yo-yo test, people tend to forget it was introduced for football.
Yeah.
Whole different sport where you are constantly running. There, it matters how much distance you cover, especially in today's day and age where you have pressing, counter pressing, and whatnot. Here, I don't know, should be one thing, but not the sole criteria. Now, so how does it matter what score he gets?
So then, if it does not
So
matter, then why would he put that score out?
For him, fair. I'm just saying. Okay, more importantly, how does it matter? How does it matter what score he gets, or if the public knows about it or doesn't know about it?
Well, ask him because he put it out on his social media.
Clearly,
No, but
it doesn't make much of it.
I think
Huh?
to a degree, you need some sort of a fitness test to be there.
Yeah,
And
of
by the way, yo-yo test, people can say, this is no parameter or whatever it is. We, by the way, don't have the highest yo-yo test standards also. The passing marks, I think, 16.5 it is. For Australia and New Zealand, it is up to 19 also at times.
Yeah.
So it's not like we've got the toughest yo-yo test passing system in place. if the BCCI has it, okay, because see, we're the first ones to pull the daggers out as well. If you see, let's say, a moment
But
of,
I am
you
saying,
know,
I'm giving an example. Hypothetically, if Rohit Sharma was not to clear the yo-yo test and he is batting the way he is, will you not play him? Will you play somebody else because he's passing the yo-yo test?
the way he's batting, there's anyway questions about that.
No, but that's another thing. Yeah, by the way, he's your best test batter.
Yes.
So you drop him for test cricket?
Just saying, but having said that, but see, the thing is, you need some sort of fitness parameter
but I'm
in
saying
place.
fitness should be that. What is a batsman's fitness? Batsman's fitness is, can he? You need him to get 100, right? And to get 100, you need a lot of fitness to be able to bat that long, right? You're running between the wickets, you're batting, you're concentrating. Mental, physical fitness has to be at the prime. If a batter can achieve that, why do you need that fitness? You don't want him to throw his wicket away because he's tired. So you need him to be fit to get those kind of scores. And take for example a Rohit Sharma, he's getting you big daddy 100 in test cricket. In ODI cricket he's got 200s. So there is never, and he's never been the fittest guy even when he was getting 200. Now my point is, if he has that physical fitness of getting to a 200, I don't care what his yo-yo test is.
Agreed.
If I start to notice that he's tiring down after let's say 80, 90 and because of him tiring down, he's not getting those
and
big
he can't,
scores.
in the field stop you, all those boundaries in the team, because he's, let's say, not that fielder who you can put in the team because he can't, run those extra yards, let's say, and at that.
But you don't need everyone to be in the field.
Agreed. I'm just saying.
I would still take that off for a batter.
I'm saying at some point you do need a fitness parameter to be.
Yeah, but
And given that you're not setting the highest standards anyway.
Arey Baba, but when we are talking,
a certain standard is okay.
yes, certain standard will be there, but you can't have. I'm saying his fitness standard right now is going to be better than all our fitness standards. Na? We're only looking at relatively. Na? He's not going to pull the back as many times as you pull when you're bowling fast.
Just
or how often I get injured playing football.
Just
or whatever. Everything.
The question is not about all the fitness parameters, it's just yo-yo test, because there are already better parameters like the 3-run test. We have to take 3 runs and then you're timed with it, and I think I don't remember.
How many seconds?
12 seconds, I think you're supposed to complete it in 12 seconds.
No, will be more than that.
17?
Yeah, should be around that. But whatever, 3-run test.
12.
12 will be very less.
if she did it in 12, then that's a good indictment
Yeah,
of her
I'm not a
fitness.
very fast runner, so I can.
So, but I think 12 is very quick.
3 runs between the wickets.
3 runs,
Yeah,
12
you
seconds.
can do it easily.
Well,
22 times 3 is what, 66? Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
That's still not
Yeah,
that easy.
no, but you also stop and turn
Exactly,
rather than
So
running
that's the
straight.
test, right? For batters, that is a
Maybe
perfect
it is.
parameter.
I don't know
And then there's
whatever
the
second is, but I get the
sprint.
point.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sprint, which can help you figure out how fast you can run across the boundary, whatever. So those two are, I think, one of the best fitness
So
tests.
all I'm saying is you make them go through various fitness tests and then
Yeah.
you see whatever it is. Anyway, the point is not the fitness test. It is about Virat's yo-yo test, and he put that Instagram photo. Can we show everyone the Instagram photo, please? Which has got him into.
17.2 done.
Which has gotten him into trouble. For those of you who don't know, the video is up on Sports Today, you can check it out.
Yeah.
That he put his yo-yo test out, put it on his Instagram feed, and now he's been issued a warning of sorts from the BCCI saying, you can't do that, it's mentioned in your contract, that's confidential information, so don't do it. Now my point is, we discussed what could have been the reason. Harshit feels that he's defying the BCCI because he clearly knows what's in his contract.
He's defying the BCCI.
But he clearly knows
But
it.
he clearly knows. Yeah, I will.
Defying it, na yaar. If you know that part of your contract and you are doing exactly the opposite what's your part of your contract,
Just
you're
for
defying.
fun.
For fun, whatever it is, right? So he does that. Whatever, that's it. I have a feeling that he clearly doesn't know the fine print of his contract. There are so many different things. He does know that yo-yo test or whatever other things may have been mentioned, but he does not know that you can't put it out on his social media. I think he didn't know that. He is very I won't say obsessed, but very proud of the kind of effort that he puts in for his fitness. And so once you put in a lot of effort and you see the results as he saw doing the fitness test, so he put it out. There are others on social media that I'm saying that they're saying that he's put it out because he wants to, mirchi lagao everyone else and other players and show that I am so much better.
Nothing wrong with that either.
No, because Viratians and Rohitians were fighting over this.
Oh.
They don't need much reason to.
But they were saying that, Viratians pointing out that, Dekha, What is your Rohit?
13.2.
What's his score? And they're thinking that he's doing it, which I think is very far fetched. I'm
Yeah.
sure he has much
Extremely,
better things to do than to do it. But now that he's put it, what do you think could be? Let's say he's not aware of the contract, right? What is his motivation to put this? Just generally
Just
happy.
Didn't know. That's all.
I think he got tired of people criticizing him for posting stories with inspirational quotes. So,
Yellow.
let's put this
Make this
real life
your
inspiration.
Right.
We'll have to ask Virat.
No, I think he's just done it simply because, as I said, that he puts in a lot of effort for his fitness.
Yeah.
And when he saw a good result, he thought that let me share it with. What is he? With my family of how many million Instagram followers?
256 plus million.
something like that.
How many?
256.
255 million plus family on Instagram. 55 million plus.
255 million.
255, yeah.
255
million.
That's the power of Virat
25
Kohli.
crore.
Like 25 million. I would have been like big, massive. 257 million.
Dear
He just made a record of like the most followed or something like that.
Indian
Yeah,
He's the
Indian
most
athlete.
followed athlete in India, rather the most followed person in India.
Oh.
Yeah.
Person, really?
Yeah.
Who do you think would pick him?
I don't know.
No,
Lots
some
of people
Bollywood
like
star or
Exactly.
Next second comes Priyanka, I think.
Achha.
And in terms of sports people, he's just behind Ronaldo, I
Yeah.
thought, right? Or something like that.
No, I think Messi
Ronaldo
also
and
would be
Messi.
ahead of him. 400 thought, if I'm not
400 million.
Yeah.
Messi.
Messi, I think. No.
400 million.
Let me
No.
check. I do.
We'll just
Okay, doesn't matter. How do you now? Okay, that's fine. How do you think now that this kind of a warning has been issued to Virat? How do you reckon he's going to take it? He'll say, okay, no problem, Diya. I'm sorry.
Delete कर देता हूँ.
वो हो ही गई.
तो वही 24 घंटा.
No, but it can go in his feature,
Archive.
no? Archive. You can feature them, no?
So you can story highlights. You didn't know
So
that?
he can do it after he retires then.
You can check out his story highlights if it's there or not. But how do you think? If you ask me, I don't think he's going to take to this very kindly, because he is a superstar, he is a big name, and such kind of a reprimand. Yeah, we don't need to see it. Such kind of a reprimand coming from the BCCI. I don't think that's going to be to Virat Kohli's liking, especially because there's one thing sending him a reprimand, okay? The other thing is you're letting the whole world know about it, because this
Yeah.
story has been leaked from within the BCCI.
Yes.
So if that has, if it's been written, there could only be two parties that know, Virat Kohli and the BCCI, right? And it's not clearly Virat who's telling everyone else that this is happening. If it comes out and now it's been made public, if I'm Virat Kohli, as I said, how is he going to react? Everyone thinks that he'd be okay. I don't think he'd be okay. I think he's going to be an unhappy man simply because you're making it public. And that's not to say he has ego, but any big player, any big star, he has his reputation to protect, and they wouldn't like such a thing being made public as it has been made. And don't forget, this comes at the back of various other tutu meme that BCCI and Virat Kohli had, where he was stripped of his captaincy. Of course, he let go of one format, then stripped of the other format, and then you could see, and those stories are pretty well known, that he wasn't too happy and then let go of the test format as well. So on the back of that, you've reached a situation where, let me also add to it, I'm sure he wouldn't be happy about the fact that he's not part of the T20 team as well. Knowing him, he would want to continue playing. So his captaincy is taken away. He's not getting a chance to play T20 cricket at the moment. That might change, who knows. And now he puts a simple story out on Instagram saying that, this is my yo-yo test, put in a lot of hard work, and then just put a personal photo out. And he's reprimanded for that. So I can't believe that the relationship between BCCI and Virat Kohli, having seen what's happened in the last 20 odd months or so, it'll be safe to assume it's at an all-time low. That's for sure. That is for sure.
I don't want to sound too scandalous, but then.
But you will.
But I will. But the BCCI sources that we're talking about here, people do it for extra bucks. Just leak the story. It doesn't have to be that, oh, we want to put Virat Kohli's reputation in the dust. So
No, nobody. I don't think anybody will do it for an extra buck, because if wherever it's leaked for, I don't think any poor reporter can afford to, and I think that that's never the case. Money is not the issue. It's all about the power game. It's all about equations. It's all about camps, and it's clear right now that, see, I'm saying, okay, if he breached the contract, whichever way, knowingly, unknowingly, we don't know. We can only speculate. But let's just put the facts there, that he breached the contract. This is part of the contract, we know. He put out a story, we know. But the fact that, also in terms of reprimanding him, could the BCCI, was it such a big deal? Instead of telling him, it could have been as simple as some top dog in the BCCI just picking up a phone and just having a casual conversation with him, rather than actually issuing a sort of reprimand or a warning, as it sounds like that from a report. Just casually picked up the phone and said, hey Virat, just to let you know, and this is Virat Kohli, by the way, right? So you may not be aware, but this is just part of the world. Just ensure that, and it be done and dusted. I'm sure he'd been very receptive to it, unless he was fiery at the time and said, no, why not? It's my yo-yo result, and I'll put it. I doubt that it would have happened. If that would have happened, then it makes sense for BCCI to then send a proper notice, and then if it's made public, I'm sure it wouldn't have been. It could have been ended there. But clearly, he's been officially told, and what's worse is that news has officially been also leaked to the media, which doesn't show Virat in great light. If I'm him, I'm seething right now. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not in a great.
Consider, as we said, over last few months, years, things haven't exactly been rosy. I mean, there's been contrasting statements that were made. There's been, talk from him. He's saying one thing, then the BCCI is saying another thing. Already, it's like, thin ice, you can say, and then something like this happens. I don't know.
I wonder why would the BCCI want to do something like that, considering this is a big year. This is the Asia Cup, followed by the Cricket World Cup soon after. Now this can only result in two things. One, it upsets Virat Kohli. He's not in the best frame of mind to be playing a tournament like that, and believe me, you really need him, considering where your team or how your batting lineup is looking right now. You need a informed Virat Kohli if you want to harbour any hopes of doing well in this tournament. That's one. Or it could work the other way, knowing how Virat is. He's a fiery customer, and if you really try to pin him down, try to put pressure on him, he comes back fighting and only fires him up, and he takes the anger out on the opposition bowlers. I would like the second thing to come true, and I would like the second thing to happen. But as of now, if I'm Virat Kohli right now, I'm not happy with what's happened. It was a harmless little story that he put out, and I see no harm. I mean, is it the case world over in football and everywhere? I just want to get to the contract. Do you really need to have something like this in the contract? What's wrong in making the scores public?
What exactly? What is, like, say, Pakistan, and they're plotting something against Virat? What will they be like? Oh, his yo-yo test is 17.2.
Exactly. I don't understand how
exactly
confidential, let's say, per se, and what's the value to this confidentiality is what I'm trying to understand. It's just a passing score at the end of the day. Just like a scoreboard tells you how you batted, this just tells you how you fared in a certain test. Let's say in elections, you know how much a candidate scored, right? How many votes you lost or won by. It's just the same.
Or it's also a safety measure, let's say. Like someone else gets to know, the staff over there or someone,
They don't know anyway.
Wait.
No, the staff.
Yeah, they get someone who's working around, when the yo-yo test is happening. Maybe a player scores, 10 or something, and then leaks it to the media. What happens then?
That can happen anyway.
Yeah, that can happen anyway.
But it could be a safety measure to save
I
players
still
who
doesn't.
haven't passed and are in the team.
Okay, so you're saying maybe it's not so much for the players who've done well, but the clause is mostly for players who aren't doing well, and then that may not reflect very well on them.
I disagree with that too. Varun Chakravarti.
Yeah, those scores were out also.
Scores were out. He was pretty much dropped from the team because he didn't pass the yo-yo test.
But my point is, why not make it like this? Okay, you don't put an official. But firstly, I think such things should be made public. I'll tell you for what. This is an Indian team. We're all stakeholders of this Indian team. You already have a situation where hardly any information comes by.
Yeah.
Okay, why shouldn't the fans know what the yo-yo test is, even if it is showing a player in poor light? Let us be the judge of that. Let us be the judge of how we look at a player. As I mentioned, there are certain players that we always knew weren't really fit, and I've gone back into history of cricket, yet we love them for the kind of players that they were. So instead of protecting them, I think the score should be out, because as we said, all of us are stakeholders as just fans. We should know of what the result is. And my other thing is, on one end you say that your yo-yo test cannot be made public, but on the other, you're controlling their social media feed or not mentioning. But on the social media feed, everything else players are allowed to put. I'll just take two players, okay, in account. So Virat Kohli putting his Instagram story is an issue where he's passed the yo-yo test. But a lot of players, when they're unfit, putting Instagram stories saying that they are fit and look how I'm batting or look how I'm keeping, that's okay. Then you should have a norm for those players also not trying to push their case, because that influences selection. But you had no sort of issue with that. You didn't pull up a player saying that why you put this, though I don't agree with it. I think everyone should have a freedom. So I'm going back into it. If Virat Kohli has a freedom of putting that Instagram story about his yo-yo test, so a KL Rahul or a Shreyas Iyer, whoever, should have the freedom of putting their Insta story when they're doing gym work, when they're doing matches, whatever, because that's their personal feed, and I don't think they're doing any harm. They're only doing good. They're letting the fans, us, know what their status is. So that's a good thing. That way, you should also have an issue of players running YouTube channels, whether commenting on what is happening in the game or what should be done or what the pitch is like or whatever. Then you should have an issue. I repeat, personally wouldn't want any sort of norms or restrictions on any player. I would want the player to continue having a YouTube channel. He should. If he wants to express his opinion, he should. If he wants to tweet about something, he should be allowed to do it. If he wants to put an Instagram story saying that he's getting close to fitness, this is my fitness rate, he should be allowed. And if all of that should be allowed, then Virat Kohli putting that Instagram story should also be allowed. But if putting the yo-yo test is an issue, then everything else that I just mentioned should be an issue, and then you should pull everyone up. To me, then it does seem like, and as I go back into that relationship that Virat Kohli has had, which hasn't been great with the BCCI, to me it would then seem like a witch hunt, that you're just looking at one player and anything that he does is an issue, where everyone else can pretty much run amok and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, then you shouldn't
Double standards.
Then you shouldn't tell. You should tell players, anyone who's either been capped or is on the verge of being capped, that you can't express dissent if you don't get selected. How many times we've seen that happen?
Yeah.
If you're going to be controlling, then be fully controlling, or then don't have this.
But I said don't be controlling.
Don't be.
Everyone, they're humans.
We know the BCCI is anyway an autonomous organization. And having these curves in place just doesn't put them in good light
At all.
And I'm just saying, we're all
It's
humans,
not
right?
like, you have those pressers regularly. That one presser in which you saw the head coach, the chief selector and the captain be there also came like a surprise. Nobody was expecting, such is the expectation, let's say, at the moment, because everything is happening behind closed doors.
I'm saying they are humans. Those players are humans. They experience emotions just like you and I. We have our Facebook pages, our Instagram posts. The day you're feeling low, you put all these inspirational quotes now. Or the day you've had a bad day in office, you write something, right? So you express. You're not criticizing somebody. You express what you felt like. Everyone has a good day, bad day. So you're allowed to celebrate your good days. Allowed to look down when you're making a recovery or putting your Insta feed or reels based on your recovery. You should be allowed to express opinions, put your pictures. Do not have this. And if you're going to have rules, either have it for everyone or don't. But as I repeat, ideally, don't have such rules. Rules can be on the broader perspective, right? You can't, there's a night curfew before the match. That's a rule which everyone should follow. But not these rules that you can't put a yo-yo test, you can't express an opinion. That I'm sorry. And as I'm saying, I don't want to believe that, but for some reason or the other, Virat is the man on target all the time.
Picking and choosing.
But getting him riled up and all with all of these little antics, I think is just good for Indian cricket.
I hope so.
Well, he will go smash 100 here and there.
No, but that works better if he's getting irritated on an opposition player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe take out his irritation with the
Exactly. So
opposition.
one thing we know is he channelizes anger well when it comes to batting. So
He'll be like, yo-yo test is a problem. Yell it.
Next to
Then he won't do yellow check. He'll run 2s and 3s. See my fitness.
see my video?
No, the fitness though we know is good.
Yeah.
The
Next
problem is telling the world is a thing. But I agree with one point that maybe the reason to safeguard is that the ones who've not got a great test, you want to safeguard, but then make it like this, now that we will not make the entire
that
test
will also
public.
come out. That will also
How?
exactly. That will. These reports have always come. You
Ah,
know about.
exactly, na?
Sources.
When Varun
Right
Chakravarti
now is
was
also
picked,
sources, na.
Varun Chakravarti was picked. He was then dropped mysteriously. Why?
Yes, but-
Because they found two things. One, he was carrying an injury. The other, he didn't clear the test.
No,
they
not
not
Varun Chakravarti. There was a big news about Rohit Sharma failing the yo-yo
Yes,
test.
correct.
That became a
Pandya
big
also
controversy.
didn't do that well. Maybe I don't know. But
Pandya has
remember,
done a 19 also, so it's okay.
yeah, whatever it is, you every time will come up and everything happening. Right now, that score, even if he wasn't to put it out, would have come out through reports somewhere. Or the
Somewhere
other.
I read there was a report that Rohit Sharma passed the yo-yo test. Sources.
Yeah,
Everything comes
to
like that.
battle all of this, make a page for fitness test, put out all the scores.
Yeah, put it up, make it transparent.
Yeah.
Let everyone.
But
see.
that word should
They are
exist
they
in the
are
dictionary.
they are public figures, na?
But
Yeah.
that word should exist in the BCCI dictionary.
I hope so.
Opacity is something that they come up with the first word when you open that dictionary.
Okay.
Questions? We've got our dear friend Prithvi Patnaik. Baman. Baman is here. It's a new joke we've come up with. You've not been here for a few
He
days.
knows that. नहीं सिर्फ एक बार बमन.
Watch them all.
But nobody does it better than Siddharth. He actually does it the way it's done.
So he says, sir, I can't understand the logic of having batsmen at number 8. If your top 7 batsmen can't score, how much can number 8 add on? It's a stupid logic, his opinion. Looking at our team now, bowling is stronger rather than the batting. But Prithvi Patnaik, yesterday Pakistan won an ODI on the basis of their lower order batting.
No, but that's because Pakistan should ideally be batting that lower order and the middle order.
Yeah.
And middle
Shadab
order.
Khan should be batting higher than number 6, 7.
So they've got their batting order wrong. In India's case, at least your batting order will be right. He has a point because I think there is a school of thought that does think like that. And I think Mr. Gavaskar was one of them when I did that interview with him right after the team selection was done, that this is one big problem with India compared to other teams that are batting pretty much finishes at number 7. Well, he said that, if your 7 can't do it, then no point looking at it 8.
Yeah.
So go with 7, and it's best to go in your 5 best bowlers rather than playing a bowler who's not your best bowler but offers you some batting. So you're making a compromise on that front, because I think the debate is Akshar / Shardul playing there.
Yeah.
Or if you don't look at them and play your 3 best fast bowlers, that is obviously Siraj, Shami and Bumrah. And then your 2 spinners in Kuldeep and Jadeja, which means your batting finishes at number 7. That is not a bad way. As I said, there will be people on both sides of the divide and both would be right in their own
Because
way.
the counter thought to that will be, you look at what happened in the previous World Cup as well, high scoring matches. Again, this time around you have it in India. All these high scoring matches, every team would want that extra batter to be there, whether be that in a chase or else head on.
But you see how India did well. They were undefeated in that 2019 World Cup. Seldom did they ever need their number 7 or 8 to do. It was that top order that did the job.
Right
But when
now,
your top order fails?
Exactly. Right now, your need arises more from the fact that your top order hasn't been firing. That time you got 5 centuries from one man alone. This time around,
But
you don't have 5
would you
centuries.
rely? Would you I'm saying, I don't know. Would you rely on your 8 to bail you out? See, if your top order is not firing, you pretty much pack up your bags, go home.
Bye.
You're not gonna
should be
win.
number
Well, I
8 should
think-
be for reserved for very unique circumstances, not for
For a
every
rainy
single
day.
match.
But I think right now we're coming out of a place of vulnerability. I think those 10 wicket defeats that you had, first to Pakistan in 21, then again a 10 wicket defeat to England, and then again a drubbing against Australia. I think your batting's been caught.
No, but I think it was your bowling as well. Both those games, Pakistan as well as England, you failed to pick up wickets.
But then you lost wickets as well quite early on as well.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So your problem is not one dimensional. No? So what do? Play your best bowlers or fill up with their batting? There's no one particular answer, as I said. There will be different schools of thought, and there is not to say that one is correct and the other isn't. There's nothing to suggest that. We'll only know when it happens. The proof of the pudding is in its eating. So we'll eat it once the World Cup comes or the Asia Cup. We'll get to know which way the Indian team goes. And most likely, whichever way the Indian team goes, the other one will be the right thing to do. That's what has happened. Hindsight.
The good news is Yuvraj Singh has been blessed by a baby girl. Yuvraj Singh is
Oh, congratulations to Yuvraj Singh. After a baby boy, he's now been blessed with a baby girl. So family is complete. A boy and a girl. Lovely. So I hope the boy and the girl both take cricket.
Yeah.
If he's passed on some of that talent, we'll get two good
And
players.
pass the yo-yo test.
Yo-yo test, I don't know how he did. I know when he was doing the Kho test, he had an issue with his knee. Major surgery he had to go through.
He used to.
There was no Kho test.
He played.
They used to play Kho to warm up.
Okay.
And then after that, Kho was stopped.
It's like the English team in football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It also happened in our team as well. We used to play leg volleyball.
Yeah.
And then two people
Yeah.
crashed into each other. That was the last.
That was football. The Indian team used to play football. That's also stopped.
Ankles have been twisted and whatnot.
Okay, Shubham Sai says yo-yo test was part of Virat's regime where he was captain. He didn't put the score back then, but why now? But Shubham, again, he's become more Instagram savvy now than he was at that time.
Vibes. It just felt like it.
And there's nothing, as I said, if he had put, I would say, if he had put the whole team's yo-yo test, like there, look at the sheet, I'm number 1, then I would understand. He just put his test. He's not saying who's done what.
And I think this is a very different circumstance from back then. That was when he was at his prime. Now he's been through the lows and now he's coming back into the groove. So I think now
But that's a very valid point. I'll tell you for what. Well, that's very interesting. Because you know what happened? When you're at your prime, you could do no wrong, right?
Yeah.
I think the last couple of years, Virat's seen bad times. Whether it was
Exactly.
form with his bat, whether it was, those captaincy
Personal
issues,
struggles, yeah.
controversies, all of that is happening, those some tiffs in the IPL, controversies there, whether it was Saurav Ganguly, whether it was with Gautam Gambhir. So when you're at a low, sometime you need that kind of validation that you put out.
exactly.
It happens to all of us, by the way. We're all humans, right? When you're going through a low phase, sometimes you seek solace in something else. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. There's nothing wrong with it, and that just shows you that he's human. So
Arnab Roy is saying, and first super chat, thanks Arnab. After watching the Pakistan versus Afghanistan match, encouraging mediocrity has been a norm for us. Promoting WW bowlers like Mukesh Kumar and putting Arshdeep ahead of Umran Malik and Mohsin Khan, keeping them in sidelines.
Arnab, by the way, that's very harsh that what you've said about Mukesh. He's not
He's been
tibbly
good,
dobbly.
Yeah.
He's definitely, and by the way, he's put in a lot of hard work in domestic cricket. He's been a good domestic performer. He's worked his way through and he's reached here. I'm not saying that he will be a match winner. He'll be a certainty in Indian 11s. I don't know. But we're being unfair. Whatever little chances he's got, he's done well.
Exactly.
And who knows, he might be coming good in the future. As for Arshdeep, you're saying that Arshdeep is inferior to Umran and Mohsin?
No.
I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah.
I think we definitely see cricket very differently.
And also, this is the same Mohsin. We keep saying no, we shouldn't promote IPL stars. Because he's played 2 IPLs, was ill actually for a long time, couldn't play domestic cricket, and we want to call him up.
Plus, he was injured. What do you do?
The whole season.
Yeah. And I think Arshdeep's been a far more consistent bowler than that. Umran, I like, he's got the pace and all, but he'd have
But
to
nothing
improve
else.
on certain aspects of his bowling. Which I'm saying is, it's early, give him time. I want him to succeed. That genuine pace is very rare. If we have it, might as well, ensure that we can utilize it. But how we do it is something that the Indian team can look at. Probably not now with the World Cup just around the corner.
Singularity is feeling like a rhymer because he says that this is a slippery slope. BCCI says nope. One posts yo-yo, but another might post something that increases the scope. BCCI in giving a rope, and Virat might mope.
Well done, Singularity.
Good one.
He summed it up really well.
Yeah, actually, very well, sir.
Yeah. It is a slippery slope for sure. It is a slippery slope for both. I mean, more so for BCCI. I think why would you want to antagonize one of the best players that you have? That is not to say that you have to mollycoddle him. Not saying that, but this was unnecessary, is what I think. And even if it was, it could have been done very privately.
Yeah, bhai agli baar se mat karna. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
it needed.
Yeah. Karthik also sums it up very well. He says BCCI either gives you total power or makes you powerless, which is true, because at one point Kohli got absolute power. That was a very different BCCI though.
The COA led BCCI, yes.
And this is a very different BCCI. That's true. Can we take a few more questions?
So the one funny question is, did BCCI took permission from Honey Singh before taking the yo-yo test? Was Honey Singh there?
That's a bad one. Who came up with that?
There's a lot of comments.
And that yo-yo test is also called the beep test, so
Yeah.
it's not necessarily.
Even for that, you need Honey Singh's permission. No?
That's a good one. That is a good one. More Virat's also might do.
Yeah. Ben Stokes.
Proxy vote. Please take the
Yeah.
question.
Akshat Khedekar is saying in Virat's captaincy era, we didn't have to miss half of the team due to injuries. Things were pretty strict then. By fitness.
But I
standards.
think no, there were fitness issues even then.
Yeah, I don't think this is something that predates yo-yo tests and
Yeah.
everything. I think more scanner can be placed on the NCA.
NCA.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of
Yep.
recurring
Because,
injuries.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
remember the whole talk just about a year back with Jasprit Bumrah coming by, he was named for South Africa, didn't play. Then you played him in
Australia, injured again.
He was supposed to play all three, but second match itself
Yeah.
he couldn't complete his quota of overs. So I think bigger questions to be asked of the NCA and to what treatment is exactly being given, and if that that resumption certificate which they usually give that certificate, is that being given with utmost sincerity and with utmost sort of checks, let's say. So bigger questions for
Or
the
just
NCA.
out of desperation for a player.
Naman Kanpal is saying, not just a big player, it's a case of simple self-respect. BCCI is creating useless controversy before two important tournaments. Remember what fitness culture has done to your team, especially
Yeah.
fast bowling, Champions Trophy 13. I think he also sums it up well, and he's echoing exactly what we said, that
Yeah.
this is unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean,
Unnecessary.
you have an Asia Cup coming up. You want to be focusing on team combinations, this, that, and
Yeah.
Unwarranted at the moment.
yeah.
Also harmless. He's happy, yeah. He's done well. He's put out his yo-yo test score. Fine. If he had put the whole sheet out, as I said, boasting about, look, I am on top and look, everyone else, then I'd still understand, right? He's not doing that.
Yeah. It's just he ran. He
Yeah.
can pull it out.
Yeah. Okay, more questions. Mr. Fact says maybe Virat was upset about current fitness standards of our team, which is a shadow of what earlier team under Kohli was. That's why he posted his score.
Good reach.
Trying to inspire, but that's also inspirational.
Right.
Maybe
So
even
telling
the
everyone-
highest one.
I said, look at my score, and guys, come up, buck up. All of you, give me this kind of a score.
Beat करके दिखा.
Maybe.
Quite possible.
We'd love to know your comments as well. Do post it if you're joining us just now, or if you are watching it later in the day, not live. So for the moment, we'll take your leave. It's a weekend coming up. Hope all of you have a great weekend. The Indian team has started its camp. A lot of them started on Thursday itself, and then some joined in today, Friday, the ones that were coming from Ireland. The Jasprit Bumrahs, the Prasidh Krishnas, Tilak Verma, Sanju Samson would have joined the squad today. And they're all carrying on. The news out from the camp is that Shreyas Iyer is fully fit, doing all things possible. KL Rahul is batting, yes, but because of that niggle, he's not really keeping right now, and that's what they will be seeing the next few days. And then decision would be made in terms of whether he keeps in the first game or not. What is it?
Very worrisome sort of a thing, because again, then I think the natural.
Ishan Kishan is there.
Yeah, but again, are you going to accommodate him in the middle order?
But you'll have to,
That-
if somebody is not fit, what do
I
you
don't
do?
know, it's just a problem.
But if he's not fit, what do you do?
Should have kept Sanju in the 11.
He's there.
No, but he's in the reserve. No.
Reserve.
So reserve also can play.
Didn't Rahul Dravid say something like KL's carrying a niggle, so that's why Sanju is traveling with us?
See that? What
but
can you
know
do?
Ishan will be the one
Exactly.
making the cut,
No, he should, because he's ahead. I mean, why not?
and then
Yeah.
you will make him batter at number 4.
He'll
number
have to.
5.
He'll have to. No option. Rohit said, "Nah, youngsters have to learn.
Circumstances.
Get used to it. There are no seats
Again,
that handkerchief on the seat कि मेरा ही है, मैं ही लूँगा. ऐसा नहीं है. Work hard."
Happenings of
He said, "Openers are fixed. Hardik is fixed. Jadeja is fixed. Everyone else, and Virat is fixed. Everyone
Like
else,
Lego.
please adjust where you get." I also adjusted, batted at every position. So Ishan Kishan will have to do it.
Hope he does.
Such is life. Yeah, juniors have to. Then one day he'll become a senior. Then he'll bully the rest of them. Hey, I am batting opener. You go number 3. That's how it happens. It's a wheel. It'll happen.
Circle of life.
Exactly. Life lessons. It's just an extension. Cricket dressing room. You know, I keep telling that story that Ajay Jadeja told me when he first came into the Delhi team. So the Delhi team was quite notorious for all the.
Ajay Sharma and all these
So there were, he said, in the dressing room, 5 sofas. Okay. So in the 5 sofa, one sofa, because you're talking about seats, one sofa was Ajay Sharma's sofa. One sofa was Kirti Azad's sofa.
Yeah.
One sofa was Raman Lamba's sofa. One was Manoj Prabhakar's sofa. So those sofas nobody could sit. It was theirs. And the 5th sofa, the remaining whatever 14 member had to make do with. So rest will stand when someone has to change, has to sit. Even though sofas are empty, will be left empty. No one dare sit on those 4 sofas. So he said, that's how I learned. That's how you saw the seniors. You made do with that one sofa. All of us would just shift. Then later when he must have become the boss, one of those sofas would have gone to him. And the rest of the guys would be finding. Or maybe he was more democratic as a
Leader.
and
Everyone.
allowed.
Then all of you all can have the sofas when
we don't
needed.
know.
It is ours.
It's ours. So it happens. That's what, dressing rooms are like. If you've read books about Pakistan cricket, you would know how prevalent it was there. So, सीखोगे. Ishan Kishan bat 4. Ishan Kishan should be happy he's playing. Forget 4, 5, whatever.
Bat wherever.
Exactly. Okay, guys. Bye bye. See you. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today. Vanakkam.